Hello, everyone. We are going to continue with the program featuring the City of Concord Mayor, Laura Hoffmeister. My name is Isamar Hook, and I am the General Manager of the Veranda. I am also the 22-23 Chair of the Board of the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce. The Concord Chamber of Commerce was established 85 years ago with a goal to provide a platform for members to grow their businesses. We are a voluntary business organization that supports a multitude of businesses, representing over 50,000 employees. The program we host throughout the year provide opportunities for businesses to grow, thrive in our community. Some of these programs include monthly networking events, and we have flyers on your chair showing those events, advocating for business and providing educational opportunities for our members. We also host annual events such as today's Mayor's Luncheon, and our upcoming annual crab feed and dinner and auction. The Concord Chamber is proud of our longstanding partnership with the City of Concord. We enjoy working alongside the city to provide resources, enabling us to better serve our members and the business community. At this time, I would like to formally introduce Mayor Laura Hoffmeister. Mayor Hoffmeister is a lifelong Concord resident and has served our community for many years. She was first elected to the City Council in 1997 and has been reelected 6 times. This year will be her 6th year serving as mayor. Regionally, she represents Concord on the County Connection Board of Directors and the Contra Costa Mayors Conference. Prior to her election to City Council, she was a member of multiple boards and commissions, including serving as chair of the Redevelopment Advisory Committee and as vice chair of Concord's Design Review Board. Mayor Hoffmeister is also an active member and supporter of multiple veterans and support organizations, including the Veteran Foreign Wars Post 1525, Blue Star Moms, and Diablo Valley Veterans. As a result of her extensive service to our community, she has been the recipient of the Contra Costa Women's Hall of Fame Community Leadership Award. She has also served on the boards of the Concord Historical Society, American Association of University Women, and is a graduate of the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce's Leadership Concord Academy. Mayor Hoffmeister holds a Bachelor of Science degree in City and Environmental Planning from the University of California, Davis. Please welcome Mayor Hoffmeister to the stage.
Well, good morning, early afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. As was mentioned, this is not my first rodeo. And I was reflecting back on the first time that I actually did a State of the City speech. I was talking about where we are now and where we would be in the future. And there was a couple things that I pointed out. And for any of you that were there back in the day, we had flip phones. Remember those flip phones? We had just gone from pagers to flip phones. And I said, at some point in the future, they're working on this technology where we will have basically a small computer in our hand. And that would be our device that we would use. Hence, we all have our smartphones today. Took a little time to get there. The other thing that I had mentioned was at some point in time, we were talking about traffic congestion and a bunch of issues going on in our communities, that at some point in time, we would be getting closer to the Jetsons, where we would have driverless vehicles, robots that would help us in our homes, and we would have some things, we're still not quite there yet, flying vehicles. I'm waiting for that one because then I can get above all the traffic. But we're getting there because we have drones now, and there are technologies that are being put in place to have the pilotless flight devices. So we're getting there. It takes some time, but you realize that where you are today, you can see where the future goes, and sooner or later that future becomes our present. So today I'm going to share with you what's happening in the city of Concord. And first off, I'd like to acknowledge and thank my colleagues on the City Council, which you've heard before, Vice Mayor Eddie Brisson, Councilmember Dominic Aliano, Councilmember Carlin Olbringer, and our newest council member, Laura Nakamura, and also our treasurer, Patty Bersati, who's also an awesome treasurer and elected office. We have our supporting the city council is our city attorney, Suzanne Brown, our assistant city manager, Justin Nizell, our city manager, Valerie Baroni, the police chief, Mark Basilius, and our city clerk, Joelle Faulkner. There are many of the city's executive team and department heads that are also here with us today, and I thank them for being here. I want to also acknowledge our veterans. We are in a community, in an area that we have many times that we honor our veterans. The 81st anniversary of Pearl Harbor with the beacon lighting on Mount Diablo. We have the Korean War Memorial. We have the Veterans Memorial for Vietnam veterans up at Newhall Park, our Blue Star Memorial, our Gold Star Memorial, and the most recent ones that we've worked on with actually the Blue Star Moms have done, which is our High School Fallen Soldiers Memorial. And this is the students that had graduated from our local high schools, went off to serve in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I'd like to take a moment to remember those that we have lost, that we don't forget their sacrifice for our country and our freedoms, for that is what allows us to live, work, and play in a community such as Concord. And lastly, I'd like to acknowledge a World War II vet, somebody who's been very dear and close to me, of course, my father. He served in World War II as the Army Air Corps at that time, then became the Air Force. Left the Air Force at the end of World War II as a technical sergeant, and he served in the China-Burma India Theater. He recently passed away, and I just want to acknowledge him for my #1 supporter and fan, and supported me getting into politics, actually telling me, are you sure you want to do it? He came from New York City. It's a dirty game. It could be tough. Are you sure you want to do it? And I said yes, and he goes, then I'll support you 110%. So I thank him for all that he did for me to be able to be a leader here in our community. Thank you. So every year we have a theme. I have a theme for the presentations. In the past, we've talked about planning for the future, realizing possibilities, and fulfilling our potential. This year, I'd like to highlight our efforts on rebounding from the pandemic, rebuilding our staffing, finances, and roadways, and renewing our commitment to the quality of life. First off is the pandemic recovery. I'm grateful for the financial support that the cities have received from the federal government's early intervention in the pandemic. It enabled us to support our local schools, residents, and small businesses, and it enabled us to purchase protective equipment and bolster our teleworking capabilities. Those teleworking capabilities we still have going on today to make our functions of government a little bit more efficient and more convenient to the public. So in essence, we were able to keep the city moving during a very uncertain time, and I'd like to acknowledge both former Mayor and Councilmember Tim McGallion and Dominic Aliano for stepping up to the plate during that unprecedented time and keeping the city working, and all of the service that they did working with our nonprofit partners to provide services and supplies to our community. The pandemic recovery, yes, definitely. They did a yeoman's job, and they did so well the first year, we told them to keep at it for the second year, too. We weren't going to upset the apple cart. So it was really great. Our pandemic recovery included $27 million in ARPA federal funds to the city of Concord. Those funds have enabled us to be able to provide support services to nonprofit organizations, small businesses, and critical city support projects, especially to our unhoused residents. The grants to nonprofits will be announced later this month. Both Councilmember Dominic Aliano and I are working on that grant program right now. The grants to small businesses are being awarded in 2 cycles. One was last fall, and then the other one is this coming spring. The funding to support the unhoused has been set aside, and I believe it's about $5.4 million we have in the pot right now. And the council is going to decide how to direct that funding upon a completion of a homeless strategic plan. And we're in the process of putting together a community panel that will help us in preparing that plan. In addition to the funding for these major priorities, we have invested $8 million into pandemic recovery efforts, which included our COVID testing, our PPE for social workers and for the core team, a small business relief program, community outreach, and additional support to the organization of the City of Concord, including our telework capabilities, as we all had unemployment benefits, costs, and revenue losses. Fiscal stability. We all want to know how we're doing financially. The city, luckily, took a very conservative approach to its finances when the pandemic first hit. Like many other cities, Concord has been experiencing financial challenges prior to the pandemic, and in June of 2020, our general fund revenues were actually down by $7 million, and we had to make some tough decisions. We ultimately cut about $10 million in the budget, and that translated to about 36 positions in 2021. However, we are now fortunate that our finances have started to rebound, and we now anticipate higher than expected revenues in 2022. We were able to allocate residual funds to certain priority areas. Those included our unfunded liabilities, certain staff positions. We increased our public works improvement project funding and deferred maintenance for addressing homelessness. Next, we have what's happening in 2022-23 for our general funds. This slide shows that our general fund budget revenues for 22-23 would be $117.3 million, which includes $104 million in regular revenue and $12.4 million in Measure V revenue. Sales tax makes up approximately 47% of the city's revenue when it includes Measure V. However, just sales tax on its own, those taxes that come from businesses that apply sales tax, we get 36%. That's a huge amount of our general fund, which is why business community is so important to the city of Concord and its ability to provide operation and services to the community. A lot of the public thinks their property tax is what pays for everything. And as you can see on the slide, only 27% of our budget is made up of property taxes. Business sales taxes pick up the bigger bulk. Together, all of this equals $86 million in a revenue stream. While we braced for the worst in 2020, we were actually pleasantly surprised to see that the state's economic activity rebounded last year. This resulted in much higher than revenue expected. Our sales and use tax revenue for the city was indeed higher than we had anticipated. What have we done with the business community? Obviously established in 2013, the Visit Concord program. They've had great positive numbers being reported in our tourism improvement district. We've had travel-related spending that has increased to up by 37% in 2022, a very good sign, with $30 million in local hotel sales, resulting in a 34% increase in state and local tax revenue over 2021. We now have a balance of about $2 million more in transit occupancy tax funds. This hard work to market the city resulted in 552 articles about Concord that were published alone last year. They've put together a very strong social media following and have introduced a new logo and brand colors. We appreciate the partnership with them and the collaboration as we work together to promote increased economic vitality and destination awareness here in Concord. Another great program is Shop Concord. Just before Thanksgiving, we relaunched the e-card program known as Shop Concord to help businesses locally over the holidays and to support them. The city continued its $10,000 bonus contribution, and while supplies lasted, people could purchase those free bonus gift cards with every purchase. We launched the program originally in 2020, and we've sold $188,000 in gift cards since its inception. This has been a very successful partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, and it's more than 70 participating businesses. Again, this is something that I'm really proud of, the way that Concord and our Concord staff and the Concord leadership partners with the business community in order to make things better in our community for the businesses and for our community residents. So the next thing is, where does your sales tax dollars go? We all want to know we're all paying that sales tax. Well, the state of California still gets the bulk of it. As you can see here in this slide, that we've been fortunate that we did have a passage of Measure V, so we were able to collect another 1 penny on the dollar for the sales tax, and Concord's regular sales tax of 1 cent. Again, the rest of it, you can see where it's distributed there. And where does your property tax dollars go? We all pay that big bill to the county twice a year. Where does that go? So as you can see here, the majority of it goes to the schools and colleges, some monies to the county. Concord receives 11 cents on every dollar. Property taxes are the general fund's second largest revenue source. And as a taxpayer, most of the money, the base rate goes to these other programs. So an example, for $5,000 that you pay in property taxes, the city of Concord would receive $550 of that. So our staffing levels, as I mentioned, we're working on rebuilding, and rebuilding includes rebuilding our staffing. During the pandemic, we took some hits there, and right now we've moved forward thanks to the better-than-expected revenues, and we're able to start to look at strategically rebuilding our staffing. We made some staffing challenges to Tier 1 priorities that the city had worked on in terms of our work plan to address certain issues, including trying to attract, as we all know as business people, it's hard to get employees today, and good employees. So we've initiated some items such as a hiring bonus and incentives in our law enforcement department to try to achieve attracting employees into our organization. How have we done? Well, we've brought back 19 positions that were eliminated due to the budget cuts that I talked about previously since the start of the pandemic. And we're now in a good place with about 404 budgeted positions. However, before the recession, we had 529 positions. So we're still providing services with a much reduced staffing. In our police department, we're having success in the recruitment, in new officers coming in to fill the vacancies for retiring officers. And our police department and its staff has done an outstanding job in going out and recruiting with some adjustments we've made with the bonus program. And I want to give a nod to them because that's really tough because we're competing a lot along with all the other cities out there looking for law enforcement officers to come and keep our communities safe. Capital improvement projects. Everybody wants to know what we're doing with the money. We want to fix our roads. That's the number one issue we hear. So in rebuilding, I'm happy to report that we've approved the 2-year CIP. That's the largest funding that we've ever done in the city's history. We have $120 million that we've allocated to go to a 5-year pavement improvement plan. And again, we would not have been able to do this without the passage of Measure V. So I thank the business community and all those in the community that supported that, and the voters. That ballot measure was able to allow us to create that additional sales tax revenue, which has allowed us to leverage funding to get immediate investment that we're now putting back to work. And I'm sorry that you will see a little bit more congestion and traffic delays out there as we work on the streets, but no pain, no gain, as they say. So we will have road closures and detours and some traffic headaches, but I assure you that fixing our roads has been a mantra that we've heard from our community, so we're on it and we're working to improve it. Some additional Measure V projects that we've invested in is the roadways, and as I mentioned before, we're also addressing public safety and homelessness with some of the funds as well, so they are going out there to work. Some of the major projects we have under construction right now is the Grant East Street, Monument Boulevard, Hillcrest Park, Willow Pass Road signal upgrades. And I do want to say some of the trenching we're doing out there is not to repair the roads. We're trying to upgrade our signal light technology so that we're not having to wait at the red light, go to the next light and it's red, and go to the next light that it's red. So if we can improve traffic flow through our city, will improve, I think, also the business community as well, because your customers can more efficiently get to your businesses and deliveries can be made more efficiently as they get through our community. So how do we deal with the residential and pavement management of our city? Well, we have a 5-year pavement management plan, and what this slide is illustrating is that one of the things we've done as a council, even though we're in districts, as we're elected officials now, not citywide, we wanted to ensure that the funds were spread out throughout all of Concord and not just concentrated in one area. So we have about $21 million a year into repair and rehab of the city's roadway network. And this slide shows over the 5 years all the areas that will be done. Again, they're being done in different stages, but it's $22 million for residential pavement management and maintenance over the 2 years. That will be in 18 neighborhoods citywide. And then we continue forward over the next 6 to 18 months with all of the work being completed in 24-26. So we try to give enough funding for every section of our community to see an improvement. And if you haven't already seen it, I'd like to invite you to check out our interactive capital improvement projects. If you want to know what's going on in our city, we have a website located at cityofconcord.org/CIP. It allows you to search by the type of project and location and find out what's going on. And you can even get down, for those business people that like the details, into the timeline, cost, and photos of the progress of the capital projects and road projects. In addition to road work, Measure V is very critical for other infrastructure improvements. As I've mentioned, some of the things we're doing is using technology for license plate readers as well as upgrading our signal lights. We also have park facilities and improvements there that need to be maintained, including our community center and pool. And we have 34 parks in town. I don't know if anybody knows. Everybody knows the one or two close to you, but we have 34 parks in our community. Again, upgrading the traffic signals, including new fiber optics, improving bike lanes and ADA access. And so we've been doing a lot of work in that area. And then we're doing some work in our storm drainage system as well. So there's a lot of stuff that's not so visible, but we are working on it. And in the category of renewing our commitments into the community, we're working diligently on housing. Our housing element update is due to the state shortly, and we are working on our commitment to several key priority areas, including increasing housing and affordable housing. And those are state mandates as well as a need in our community. We're in the final stages of that housing element update, and the state has mandated that we show that we can have the opportunity for developers to create 5,000 housing units by 2031. We've done a lot of outreach to try to put together this housing element, and we've approved also some things that help on the multifamily side of housing. We've approved a rental tenant anti-harassment ordinance that prohibits landlords from interfering with residential tenants' enjoyment of their home, and I'm also excited to say that we have new projects that are under construction. And this was the groundbreaking for the 62-unit affordable housing project on Galindo Street, which is going to be called the Rick Judd Commons. Other projects that we have in either the pipeline or under construction right now, we have a number of housing projects, and some of them are on Clayton Road townhomes. We have 70 units. We have a project of 181 units on called the Argent Salmon Run, 32 units. Those are all under construction, and we have probably close to another 200 units that are in process but not yet under construction. They've been approved, and those include a senior living project, a low to moderate income housing project, one market rate project, and another moderate and low income project. So we have a mixture that's occurring in our community in a variety of areas. The newest one that you've seen completed in downtown Concord is the Grant. It's a 228-unit, two-building project that's mixed use, and the retail part is currently available for lease. It's kind of showing how we can really utilize our downtown, being close to BART and close to Todos Santos, to really invigorate our downtown with transit-oriented development. The famous white picket fence property. What's going on with that? How long have we been talking about it? At least maybe 4 times as I've been mayor. So I'm also here to announce that our economic development team has just completed a notice of availability to the white picket fence property on Galindo. And that is a requirement under state law. This property was redevelopment land back when we had things called redevelopment. And the state took that away from us in 2012-ish. And told us we had to go, and then properties we had to put out to the nonprofit housing groups first, to have first opportunity to put an offer in on the property. So this is one of the spots. So we've received 6 proposals for 100%. Each one of them has proposed 100% affordable housing on it. The city staff is reviewing those responses, and then they will be forwarded to the city council for its consideration and we will move forward with then the process from that point forward. So hopefully in the next year, we'll have something decided on that property, and we'll be able to move forward, and it won't hopefully no longer be called the white picket fence. But I'm almost thinking whatever's built there is going to be called the white picket fence. Whoops. Okay. Homeless response. So, big issue, not only in our community, but nationwide. This is not a state issue. This is a national issue, homelessness. Way back in the day, we dealt with homelessness. I know when Ron Leone was mayor, he had change for change, and having people not give money to people, but to buy them gift cards where they could go and get groceries and things like that, to not try to encourage the monetary transaction, but to give homelessness those things that they could most readily use. And here we are still dealing with homelessness today. We've been responding to our unsheltered population as a top priority. We fund a full-time core team, a community outreach team that interacts with our unsheltered residents 5 days a week. We support, this support has resulted in some successes, and report that monthly on our website. We also support local organizations that provide direct services. We have more than $5 million that we have that we have used to address homelessness based upon the recommendations in our homeless strategic plan. We will be allocating those funds in the future, and we hope to complete that strategic plan this year. We hired a community service manager to oversee that process, and as I mentioned earlier, we're in the process of appointing the community panel, a 9-member working group that will help create that strategic plan, which is intended to guide us for our future efforts and investments to effectively respond to the impacts and needs of our unsheltered population. And what we want to use is data and fact-based information. We understand that this is a national problem as well as a regional problem, and we're working closely with our neighboring communities and the county to try to come up with effective ways to address this issue. It's been challenging because this federal government, actually not the federal government, the courts have made certain rulings that have limited our capabilities to address homelessness in the way we used to in the past. That, along with some of the propositions that have decriminalized certain crime issues, such as the small petty theft and the small amount of drug sales, has added to the complexities of dealing with homelessness when they can go and get minor amounts of drug sales and keep the money and use it to continue to feed their habit, and that's not a crime that has any consequences. It's considered more of a nuisance, and I know a lot of the business community, as well as us as homeowners, are impacted by the negative consequences of some homelessness. And this is not to paint all of the unsheltered in the same category. We have a lot of unsheltered that we don't see. They're in their cars with their families. They're parked on a side street. They're not bothering anybody. I had a family that was just down the street from me. I noticed the car was there for quite some time. And they had actually made contact with a neighbor, and they were using the neighbor's bathroom and showering there. And I had core team reach out to them, and they were fine because all that they were doing was waiting to drive to Tennessee to go be with their family there, but they wanted their kids to finish the school year. And they had a month and a half left to go, and they wanted their kids to finish the school year with their friends, and so they were car camping, as the kids called it. They thought it was great. They were car camping. But they had lost their jobs, and they had new jobs that they were going to. But it's just one of those things you don't realize what's just around the corner from you in your own neighborhood. And those are the things that we're trying to address and make an improvement in our community. And one of those things we're looking at is rapid rehousing. We are partnering with Hope Solutions to offer a rehousing program. It's our commitment to address the housing instability and provide resources for chronic homelessness. Hope Resources is a nonprofit that's dedicated to serving unsheltered communities in Contra Costa. This funding partnership comes from the state's permanent local housing allocation funds, and Concord is eligible to receive approximately $2.9 million of this grant funding over a 5-year period. We have prioritized most of this funding for a rapid rehousing program, which includes also housing navigation, the support wraparound services, rental subsidies, and landlord incentives. We hope to be able to assist 100 Concord families in this program over the 5 years. and we've already seen success with 5 families already securing permanent housing. Next topic I want to cover is in renewing our commitment to Concord is public safety. Our focus over the last year has been on recruiting and retaining staff, as I mentioned earlier. We launched a robust recruiting effort, which has yielded several new police department staff members. Again, I thank the staff of the Concord PD because they're the ones who are out there on the streets talking to individuals, talking to other officers and other agencies that are looking to maybe come to Concord. And they've been making some success. We're making our community building a priority with fun events like our Trunk or Treat, which was a huge hit with the kids that were lined up around the police department, and the annual Shop with a Cop event, not to mention the popular bike rodeo. I'd like to congratulate also Officer Sean Parsley, who was recently named Officer of the Year by the Kiwanis Club. Sean was instrumental in coordinating the department's first ever bike giveaway and organizing the bike rodeo, along with assistance from New Hope Church and another rodeo at Meadow Homes. In regard to public safety, the city actually introduced a community camera registry program that enables residents and businesses to provide security camera footage to police when they request it for an investigation. If you're not already registered, I recommend you do so. It's free and can support our police department in solving crimes. And again, if they know that something happened near your business or near your home and you have a security camera, they will be able to contact you. It's voluntary to give the information. So if you don't want to do it when they call you, you can say no, but please sign up because it gives us another tool to try to effectively combat crime in our community. The police department cannot be sitting on your street 24/7 or by your business 24/7. And I think a lot of the public has Ring cameras or you have your own business security cameras. If we know where they are and you're on a registry, when we have a crime, we can see who's got cameras in that area and be able to reach out to you to see if we can get some information. Again, it's voluntary to sign up, but you can sign up, and if they contact you and you say, you know what, I don't really want to give you the video footage, that's fine too. But it's very helpful for us. We need you to help us to help you. We also purchased 65 automated licensed police plate readers that will provide us with real-time alerts when a stolen or wanted vehicle is traveling through our city. Again, using this kind of technology, including the use of drones to help assist us in those that are runaway or homelessness, or actually we've had some dementia patients or family members that have wandered away from their home or their care home, and the drones have been successful in locating them and reuniting them to their family or to their facility. So this is a very important use of technology. Business openings. We had COVID and everybody seemed to be locked down, hunkered in place. We weren't sure where businesses were going to go. And I'm glad to report that as we came out of the pandemic, we were proud to celebrate the opening of several new businesses in 2022. And we remain committed to providing a welcoming environment to those who want to do business in our community. Our economic development team works very hard to cultivate relationships with our business community, attracting and retaining a great mix of employers, and we appreciate this mix of office, industrial, and R&D space, and our business-friendly climate. And this is one thing about Concord that may be different than some of the places in Silicon Valley. I was just at a league conference with some of my colleagues there. We have a mixture of business types here. We're not all of our eggs are not in one basket. So if the IT world plummets and everything goes south in some of our Silicon Valley neighbors, it's a real big hit to their budgets and their operations in their community. Here we've got a diversity of business types and business sizes, and that's what I think really helps us help you in this community be successful. Speaking of businesses, some of the new businesses that are coming online in Concord and in other communities in the area. Years ago, cannabis was the bad word. You went to jail for cannabis. And now here we are having cannabis dispensaries in Concord. Go figure. My first mayor's speech, I would never have thought that this was where I'd be today. But here we are. So we're proud to welcome our 2 new cannabis dispensaries, a Coastal, which is located in Park and Shop, and Cocoa Farms, which is off of Stanwell Drive. And when you go into these places, when I went into Coastal, I kind of thought I was in the cosmetic department at a store, the way everything was displayed and on the glass shelves and the backlighting. And Cocoa Farms was, very much a different style of product merchandising, but this is this is definitely high-tech retail sales, I tell you. It's not the old days where you got a dime bag down at the street corner, folks. Come on. It's different. Today's a different world. Not that I would know anything about that. So our next thing is, besides our cannabis dispensaries opening, we've got other businesses that are arriving soon. We've got some business here that you can see on the sheet, and if you don't think your Starbucks or your Pete's Coffee is enough caffeine for you, you can go to Dutch Brothers Coffee and get your espresso expressed. I only have concerns about Dutch Brothers on Clayton Road there by Thornwood Drive. It's kind of close to Concord High and Clayton Valley, and I know all the high school kids are really excited about that opening, and I feel really bad for their teachers. They're going to be all ramped up and ready to go to class. In any case, we've got, the fast food business here, and then we also have VinFast is a Vietnamese electric vehicle company, which is poised to compete with the Tesla, is coming into retail space at the Veranda. We have Pet Food Express moving its headquarters from Oakland to Concord, and about half of its 115 employees will work in Concord, and they already actually live in Contra Costa County. Burke's Beans is a family-owned coffee roasting company, and it's soon opening on Solano Way. Hammerhead Security is a private security company that's moving from Richmond to Concord. And Robert's Skate Academy is a nonprofit teaching mindfulness through skateboarding. Very interesting. Got to see how that works. That's coming to the Sun Valley Shopping Center. Next, we have our Concord Life Science Center. It's a privately owned, flexible space laboratory suites. It's going to be home to many cutting-edge life science companies located in North Concord. It's a privately owned, as I said, with flexible workspace and providing collaborative shared working environment for startup life science companies. Our city team is providing marketing support and technical assistance to them, and we are also working on their open house, which will be Wednesday, February 22nd. If you are interested in learning more, you can talk to the city staff about that as well. Future Auto Group. We help facilitate the retention and expansion of their dealership here in Concord. Also, the Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is open for business on Diamond Boulevard, and Hyundai is on Marsh Road, and Lincoln is under construction on Burnett. It's very important. Why do we go after car dealerships? When you buy the car, you get to pay sales tax. That's a lot of money for one purchase. That is very helpful. And one of the things we found during the recession, or not the recession, during the COVID pandemic, a lot of people went out and bought cars because they wanted to be self-isolated and go travel. So car sales actually went up, and that's what helped out some of our economic revenue during that time. So thank goodness we had car dealerships in our community that was able to be purchased by people who were seeking another way of life during COVID to try to get out and see the country in a car or in a van or in a new SUV. Lastly, I want to move into our business recognition program. Every quarter, the city, along with the chamber, honors a handful of local businesses with a recognition award and honor for their great work and commitment to Concord. And this slide shows the businesses that we've recently recognized, and I want to thank the partnership we have with the chamber in doing this program. $1 million question, right? Or bazillion-dollar question. What are we doing with the Concord Naval Weapons Station project? Well, unfortunately, we did not agree upon a term sheet at our meeting last Saturday. And so the city council is now has the term sheet, or the exclusive negotiating agreement, which led to the term sheet, has expired as of yesterday. And staff is going to return within the next couple of months for giving us some options to determine how we can proceed forward. Again, this is a big project. It's not doing it fast, but it's doing it right. And so we may have to take a little bit more time to figure out what works for our community and what our community can support. So we are still at first and foremost focused on that, and we will get more information. And as I said before at another mayor's speech, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. This area is about 25% of the size of Concord. So we would be expanding our city by about 25%. And we need to take the time to make sure we do it right. And we have plenty of development opportunities still in our existing community. There's plenty of commercial space and building space in our community. So it's not a rush. We want to take our time and make sure we get it right that our community can support. Concord Pavilion, we're great that, COVID ended. We could start having some concerts again. We had 19 shows in the 2022 season. It was the best season they had in over a decade. I think everybody really was excited to get back, see their friends, get out, party at the pavilion. When we talked about renewing our commitment to quality of life, I think there's many opportunities beside just the Concord Pavilion. We've got special amenities, including our parks, as I mentioned, 34 of them. Our 18-hole golf course, which was very popular during COVID, apparently was one of the only things you could do until they said pickleball was okay too. And of course, our Concord Pavilion. Pickleball is really moving quite along. We need more pickleball courts. It's always crowded out there. The other thing that's still exciting that we brought back and was able to get people downtown again is our Music and Market series. It's every Thursday in June through September. And we brought back our Tuesday night blues in July. We're also home to Concord actually has 85 special events a year that we are either involved in doing or co-sponsoring. So things are very much happening in Concord. We also have our annual tree lighting, the Mayor's Sing-Along. We brought back the Makers Boulevard, which is associated with the Farmers Market, to provide artists an opportunity to provide some local gifts and crafts for sale. We have our meeting space and facility rentals back up and going for in-person meetings, and the city has several unique facility rooms and venues for all you businesses out there looking for a place to go. Check out our facilities. For business meetings, retreats, weddings, family reunions, we have great indoor and outdoor spaces, including, like I said, the pavilion, and even Camp Concord. Camp Concord up in Tahoe. It's a great place. If you want to learn more, you can contact Steve Voorhees, our Parks and Recs director, who's here today. A couple of last-minute things I do want to share with you that we're working on is there's a lot of interest in green waste, being green. What are we doing in the environment? The state has mandated a bunch of new laws. You as businesses are the recipient of implementing a lot of those new laws, and we're going to be making sure that you do implement them. Some of them you've already started with, which is the organic waste recycling, having to do that. And that helps divert those materials from the landfill and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So we're working with our retail food operators and other businesses to ensure that they can implement those state mandates, along with our great partner, Mount Diablo Resource Recovery, who's also making sure that we get this program implemented to meet the state requirements. And lastly, just another element we're working on at a recent council meeting was dealing with tobacco sales, tobacco policy. So we are moving forward to our city council's prioritized and moving forward to create ordinances that would eliminate those little single cigarette sales or cigar sales in the little packs of cigarillos. So we're going to be addressing the minimum pack size and a minimum price. We're also looking at vape products and flavored tobacco, which is also the state law, but we're looking at making sure we can make sure it's implemented, and prohibiting discounts and coupons. And the important thing about this is it actually came up to us by our youth. Our youth was concerned about vaping and tobacco products and how fast they're on the high school campuses, they're on the middle school campuses, and there's a lot of resale going on. And they say, hey, if I can get it around the corner at the convenience market, and then I can go and sell it for a little markup price at the school, that's bad. And we want the city to try to step in to deal with this. We see our friends and our classmates and our brothers and sisters getting hooked on the vape products. And by gosh, one of those vape products is like, what did they say? As much nicotine as like 300 cigarettes at one time. It's outrageous. Anyway, so we listened to them, and we've moved forward and moving forward to address that. And last, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank our hardworking city staff. Their continued dedication throughout the pandemic and their efforts on our recovery, rebuilding, reinvigorating, and moving forward has been wonderful. And they will continue to support you, the business community, in any way they can, and continuing to help us move forward to not only where we are today, but where we need to go tomorrow. Again, I say this is about rebounding, rebuilding, and renewing. I'm grateful and proud of how our city has rebounded from the pandemic. It's not been an easy task, and we still have work to do. But we have largely weathered the storm, and we are stronger for it. Thanks to a strong rebound, we've been able to rebuild our staffing and our finances, and now our roadways. So please be prepared for those detours and delays, but the roads will be better, and your travel in the future better. And finally, renewal. We've renewed our commitment to the quality of life here in Concord. That is our mission, to join with our community and to create a city of the highest quality for our residents, our businesses, and our visitors. We have much on the horizon, and I'm thankful that you are all part of our growth and success, and will continue to do so in the future. Again, thank you very much. Appreciate your attention, and have a wonderful afternoon.